Hi everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. It's been about 4 weeks or so now since I actually got out and recorded my 100th vlog out at Hanningfield Reservoir, and obviously in that time, as everyone is aware, that the COVID-19 situation has really escalated to a very serious level, and here in the UK obviously we're in lockdown at the moment. So I've been really sort of working really hard over the past few weeks as well, due to my job, which is within the NHS, and willing to help out wherever I possibly can to make sure that we're providing obviously care and support for all of our vulnerable patients. But photography has then taken a severe backseat, which is completely understandable. It's a very uncertain and unique set of circumstances that we're under at the moment. But having a bit of time to relax, unwind and focus on something else can really help within these within this time. And today what I've been able to do is shut myself within the office, schoolroom, dining room, my wife's office, and also the makeshift studio as well that I'm calling it today, to do a little bit of photography. I enjoy photography, as everyone knows, and pretty much you do as well, I presume. And having that little bit of escapism as such, that's something to sort of focus on, concentrate on, that you're not then thinking about the whatever else is going on in the wider world at the moment, can really help when you're dealing with that mentally, and that can really help you sort of with your mental health, to try and sort of relax that little bit more, and as I say, distract yourself for a moment as well. So today what I'm actually looking to do is retrain my skills regarding still life photography. So the weather today is typical. It's been lovely and sunny all week long, and while I've been at work, obviously looking out the window, seeing this lovely sunshine. Come to the weekend, cloudy, windy. So yeah, typical weather, isn't it, at the weekend? However, I know obviously we're in lockdown and we can't go out anywhere with our camera, and yeah, unfortunately not really got much to photograph in the back garden, unless you really wanted to see child's toys and swings and slides, etc., which is probably not going to make the best subject matter. As I say, I've sort of commandeered the dining room for today to also make that into my studio. But the thing with today's weather, and where it's creating and working in my favour, is that I'm able to use obviously the large window that we've got here in the dining room, put up some of the baking paper and make it into a really lovely soft box. And I've got some really interesting subject matter to photograph, so hopefully it'll be working out to be an interesting shoot today. So let's see what I come up with. Got set up here is the camera in portrait orientation, as you can see, with the 70 to 300mm lens on, zoomed right into the flowers that I've got set up here with the baking paper behind it as well, which is creating a lovely soft light backlit image. So the flowers are the daffodils that I bought for my wife for Mothering Sunday, which was actually last Sunday, and yeah, they've obviously gone just like that. And yeah, so it's working out to be really interesting, where obviously they are that obviously they're dead, and they're obviously going to create lovely sort of detail within some of the petals as well. And for some other reason as well, these daffodils didn't open up, they sort of stayed quite closed. But that's making out to be a really interesting composition. And luckily enough, there's only one of the actual daffodils itself staying standing. So because of that height, I'm then able to reach in with the lens to obviously pick out some of that detail within the flowers and the petals as well. I'm approximately on about sort of 280, 300 mil on the actual lens, and really picking out the detail in that head of the flower. I've got the camera set up on f7.1, ISO 100, and working out with several different exposures just to sort of balance the image. And one thing that's obviously really creating a bit of a difference, and the thing I can't really control that much, is obviously when the sun breaks through the clouds and creating that extra stronger light. So yeah, it's a little bit of a difficult one to control as well. It's kind of more of a silhouette as well, because you're not getting much detail of this side of the image because it's obviously backlit as well. The other thing that I've made sure I did with the camera as well is where my camera is normally set up on evaluative metering, I've turned it over to spot metering as well, because I'm just obviously want to meter the light pretty much on the top of the actual daffodil, and then working and taking that reading from there as well to obviously get that better exposed image. Now I've also got a little bit of handy tin foil as well to be a little bit of a reflecting light back into there as well, and also having a cable release on as well is going to work out to be that little bit helpful, and that sort of reaching around etc of the area, so then I can obviously still take the image but maybe reflect a little bit of light in there at the same time to kind of highlight this side of the actual flower, so you're still then obviously getting the same detail in there as well. So yeah, taking a couple of test shots already, hopefully working out to be really interesting. Next composition, I've swapped over to the 18 to 135mm lens, in and about sort of 80-85mm, and framing it up with again more of the actual vase that the flowers are in as well. Now because I've only got the one that's standing up still and the others are sort of curved over and drooping over the side, making for a really interesting still life composition, I feel. That sort of last man standing type thing, or last flower standing as such. But coming that a little bit further out at 80-85mm, working out to be really more interesting because, as I say, I'm able to get the vase itself in as well. But I'm doing a bit of a sort of a manual bracket image. I'll post up obviously the settings that I took for it, but it's f7.1 ISO 100, and then obviously just balancing out the exposure, shutter speed, just to obviously work out a one for obviously the highlights and one for the shadows as well, and looking to possibly blend that one together in post-processing, because yeah, I mean obviously that's the aim of it, is to sort of get that, particularly for the first composition, that sort of high key type image. This one I wanted a little bit more obviously light in the obviously front of the composition as well. But as I say, having the 18 to 135mm lens, I can obviously play with that focal length to obviously make sure that I'm actually got the composition that I actually want. I had to reposition the flower as well, so obviously I can then have that on the right hand side rule of thirds when I was obviously composing the image as well. Having the articulating screen on the side of this 77D makes to be really helpful for this, because I'm able to sort of look out there, reposition it, and then obviously sort of negotiating it and working it out exactly where I want to position that last remaining daffodil that's standing. But yeah, hopefully working out to be really interesting. So I wanted to obviously use today's shoot to actually show that you don't necessarily have to go anywhere at all to still get some sort of degree of photography. Yeah, unfortunately, as everyone's aware, the actual conditions that the government have obviously stated about that sort of social distancing, self-isolation as much as possible is really sensible decision to make, because we really do need to stop the spread of this coronavirus. And yeah, but hopefully, again, taking these obviously images today, still I'm able to sort of do some photography. It's practicing some skills that I don't often obviously use. I enjoy still life photography, don't get me wrong, but hopefully this will just give someone a little bit more inspiration about actually doing some photography at home as well. So I'll post up the images that I've taken today. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. One thing I do want to apologise is apologies for all of obviously the stuff in the background as well. I really have tried my best to obviously tidy up as much as possible, but as I said earlier, with the fact that it's now the schoolroom, the dining room, my wife's office, my office, and also now my home studio as well, there's a lot of stuff around, but I'm sure I'm not the only one in that boat at the moment. But yeah, I've enjoyed it nevertheless, and that, again, like I've said many times before on my vlogs, is the most important thing. If you really enjoy it, you can focus on something different, still come away with some of those really interesting images, a little bit more creative and a little bit more foresight that you need to within these types of compositions, but it's enjoyable nevertheless. Thanks a lot for watching. Please consider subscribing if you haven't subscribed already. Thanks again for everyone that's recently subscribed, which is amazing. And yeah, hopefully once all of this stuff is all cleared up, I'm really looking forward to meeting some of you as well. But until next time, take care.